Thank you very much. This is a press statement by the United Alternative Government on the fuel scandal in our country, Kenya. Patriotic Kenyans, today we wish to draw the attention of Kenyans to one of the greatest fuel scandals in the history of independent Kenya. We have deliberately taken time to look into the oil scandal that has hit Kenya in the hope that the government of President WilliamRuto would be kind to the people of Kenya and save them from further agony. Little was it forgotten to us that Kenyans are on the and the entire energy value chain is completely a criminal enterprise under WilliamRuto. We wish to state as follows. On Thursday, the 2nd of April 2026, Kenyans were treated to dramatic arrests of former PS State Department of Petroleum, Mr. Mohammed Liban, Mr. Daniel Kipto, former DG EPRA, and Mr. Joe Sang, former MD, Kenya Pipeline Corporation. On 4th April 2026, a public statement made by WilliamRuto meant to hoodwink and fool the people of Kenya. He argued that oil cartels had been crushed to a halt. Further, he strongly stated as follows, that the international oil companies, IOCs, had not declared their inability to perform their obligations under contract. Yet we know that there was official communication requesting a contract review and price adjustment following the Middle East crisis. The other trio had resigned, yet they were forced to resign during the Easter weekend while still under police custody. That the three accused persons would be charged in a court of law for various offenses. The three international oil companies, IOCs, in the so-called G2G arrangements are Saudi Aramco, they supply diesel and super petrol; Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, ADNOC, they supply diesel and jet fuel; and Emirates National Oil Company, ENOC, they supply super petrol. These IOCs supply and distribute fuel through 6 hand-picked local oil marketing companies. But what was being hidden from the public was the real culprits of this scandal. The team leader of this oil scandal is WilliamRuto, Felix Koskei, and the abroad-based expert, the CS for Energy and Petroleum, Mr. Opio Wandai. And a local company, which is a nominee of the international oil companies, IOCs, awarded under the so-called G2G framework. While the crisis in the Middle East brought about the conflict of the USA and Iran, WilliamRuto saw a big business opportunity to fleece Kenyans, as he has always done. Kenyans will recall the Brazil maize scandal of 2009 when WilliamRuto was the Minister for Agriculture, and he was fired by the then Prime Minister, the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Truly, you can't change the character of a man. In the so-called G2G arrangement, Gulf Energy, WilliamRuto's proxy, via a letter dated 21st March 2026, addressed with then PS State Department of Petroleum, Mr. Liban Mohammed, confirmed their inability to supply fuel and triggered a delivery default. Note that Gulf Energy supplies 4 out of 6, or 67% of the monthly fuel cargoes, leaving the other 5 oil marketing companies to supply the balance of 20%, or 2 cargoes imported under the so-called G2G framework. Since the IOCs in the so-called G2G framework agreement could not evacuate fuel through Strait of Hormuz and had communicated their inability to perform their contractual obligations, triggering a delivery default, the 3 government officers invoked relevant provisions of the Petroleum Importation Regulations 2023 and implemented a government directive issued by the National Security Council Committee via letter dated 9th March 2026, reference number OP CAB 3/55A, to explore and implement strategies to diversify petroleum import sources beyond single region, reducing dependency and enhancing national energy security. As such, the above decision was implemented. On 18th March 2026, the State Department of Petroleum, a meeting of the Vessel Alignment Committee, which was chaired by one Joseph Wafula, was held to review the supply position and replenishment plan. The meeting was attended by 13 local oil marketing companies. During this meeting, it was recognized that there is a likely shortage or supply of petroleum products, and in accordance with Clause 21, Petroleum Import Regulations 2023, the 13 oil marketing companies were invited to submit an expression of interest for the emergency supply of contingency fuel stocks for delivery on or before 28th to 30th March 2026. It is important to note that only 4 of the 13 oil marketing companies submitted their bids within the stipulated timeframe. The awards for the supply of emergency contingency stocks was duly awarded to the 2 lowest technically compliant oil marketing board bidders, with the condition that the supply required a quality waiver from Kenya National Bureau of Standards, KEBS. Note, this was also in line with Clause 8.1 Petroleum Import Regulations 2023, an international best practice as seen in other countries who had relaxed fuel specifications following the effects of the Middle East crisis. Subsequently, via the letter dated 28th March 2026, reference MITI/CS/Volume 1/Waiver Number 3, signed by Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, CS Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry, addressed to the Honorable P.O. Wandai, granted waiver for oxygenates, manganese, sulfur, and benzene parameters in the KSES 158/2025. The following companies were awarded, who are the 2 lowest bidders: 1 Petroleum and Oryx. These were contingency cargoes with delivery dates on or before 30th March 2026. Their supply position was to provide fuel cover for 2 weeks, thus ensuring product availability during the Easter holidays. But where is the mischief of the oil cartels? WilliamRuto was well appraised of all these processes and procedures. All the directives were issued by the National Security Council Committee, chaired by Head of Public Service Felix Koskei, Ruto'S errand boy. After WilliamRuto got a brief that Gulf Energy's bid was knocked out on technical grounds and the competitors had gotten their letters of award, he issued clear instructions that Gulf Energy bids be affixed to the procurement process and awarded with immediate effect. Gulf Energy submitted their bids 3 days later, on 23rd March 2026, after the awards had been executed. Their delivery was for the 8th to 15th April 2026, which was 10 days past the preferred date range of 28th March to 2nd April 2026. The bid of Gulf Energy was rejected by the Vessel Alignment Committee, State Department of Petroleum. This being WilliamRuto's proxy company that supplies 80% of monthly cargoes. He exercised political power. Characteristic of him, this is when the head started rolling. He knew that he had lost profit worth billions of shillings. Through a remarkable architecture, conman attitude, WilliamRuto orchestrated a terrible propaganda that the fuel supplied was substandard, despite the comprehensive compliance due process followed by the gallant then government officers. To date, the 3 arrested Kenyans, PS Liban, DG EPRA, and MD Kenya Pipeline Company, have had no charges preferred on them. Why? They had no case to answer, as they followed and applied the law strictly. The real culprits in this scandal are WilliamRuto and his broad-based expert. the Honorable Opiyo Wandayi. Concurrently and maliciously, on the night of 5th and 6th April 2026, as this drama was being executed, William Ruto dispatched a high-power delegation led by CS Wandayi, Acting CEO EPRA, Engineer Joseph Okech, and other senior government officials together with Gulf Energy to renegotiate new pricing with the international oil companies, whose nominated agent is Gulf Energy, a proxy of William Ruto. These prices were negotiated in Dubai, and if you recall, that is why Opiyo Wandayi was not available when he was summoned by Parliament, as he was negotiating these prices in Dubai to take into consideration the profit of William Ruto in the new price structure. Kenyans now have to pay for the greed and business of William Ruto, not only on the pump, but across all sectors of the economy. Yesterday night, they increased prices of super petroleum by Kenya shillings 28.69 and diesel by Kenya shillings 40.3 per litre, a historic high since Kenya's independence. You recall 2 weeks ago I announced the price increase of 40 because I had information from the team that was negotiating in Dubai on behalf of William Ruto and his people. Following the April 14, 2026 price adjustment, Mr. William Ruto will earn a profit of Kenya shillings 5 per every litre consumed by the people of Kenya, or the equivalent of 2.5 billion Kenya shillings, from the 500 million litres to be supplied for the region's consumption. Since the inception of the so-called G2G agreement, Mr. William Ruto has earned a cool 30 billion shillings in profit from the supply of petroleum products to the region. During the COVID pandemic period and the onset of the Ukraine-Russian war, the then government of the day took measures to cushion the welfare of its citizens, whereas today the William Ruto regime has taken advantage of the Middle East crisis to load their profit on the local palm price to the detriment of Kenya's citizens. We have one question to ask William Ruto. The emergency contingency stocks were procured in accordance with the Petroleum Act 2019. They were done in accordance with the Petroleum Import Regulations 2023, the Open Tender Agreement Terms and Conditions 2023, and the Kenya Bureau of Standards waiver, and the Kenya National Security Council Committee resolutions issued on 9th March 2026. What crime have these three officers committed? Therefore, then, we demand as follows. Mr. William Ruto, leave being on top of the vehicles, as you have always done to lecture the people of Kenya. You must now make hard decisions for the future. Mr. William, this is the time Kenyans are demanding that you immediately stop living your dream and utopia and face reality and put Wanjiku first. Mr. William Ruto, you must immediately direct the Speaker of the National Assembly, your sycophant, to convene a special sitting of Parliament within 7 days to address the following urgent issues, failure to which the united government shall call for national mass action. 1, to cancel the so-called government-to-government petroleum framework, as it involves hard-picked oil marketing companies that represent the William Ruto interests. In any case, the commercial frameworks between William Ruto and private international companies. We want to explain that this is not government-to-government. This is government companies in the Middle East. In normal circumstances, if it was government-to-government, these Middle East companies would be working either with the NOC or with the Kenya Pipeline Company, not private companies owned by William Ruto. So there is nothing like government-to-government deal. It is government to William Ruto, proxies and companies. We unequivocally demand for the immediate resignation for energy and petroleum, Mr. Opiyo Wandayi, for the fuel scandal and lying under the oath to the National Assembly Committee. We also demand the resignation of Lee Kinyanjui for being complicit and being part of this scandal. We want to ask to suspend the implementation of the National Infrastructure Fund and use the proceeds collected from the sale of equity in Safaricom PLC and Kenya Pipeline Corporation to cushion wananchi from the adverse socio-economic effects of the April 2026 historic fuel price adjustment. On taxation relief to Kenyans, we demand the suspension of the road maintenance levy that was increased from 18 shillings to 25 shillings per every litre of fuel. We also demand the suspension of the affordable housing levy. We also demand the suspension of unwarranted NSSF deductions that are punitive and are used to finance President William Ruto's single-sourced infrastructure projects. We also demand that Parliament remove VAT on fuel products. We are saying, on behalf of the people of Kenya, that that is a reducible minimum. And if there is no action taken on the part of William Ruto, we shall announce further measures to the people of Kenya to force William Ruto and the National Assembly to act in the best interest of the people of Kenya. Thank you.